Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, today in this video, we're going to talk about an incredible case, to be honest. Incredible, not in a good way. Incredible that this could happen to a family. This is a British family that has had an absolutely traumatic experience. And in fact, the woman in this photo, she has not survived it. So we're going to talk about a family that went out to Turkey on holiday and went out, husband, wife, 2 children, and came back. Well, first of all, the children came back, and then the husband came back. But unfortunately, this mum of 2, this 28-year-old woman, she did not come back. And that's what we're going to talk about, Beth, in this video. Now, I want to give you a bit of a warning because I think it's a very traumatic case. It's got, we're going to hear some distressing details. And we're going to see if we can, we won't be able to get to the bottom of what happened, but we're going to ask the questions that need to be asked. What did happen to Beth? First and foremost, I mean, the thing that we do know for a fact is she did die in Turkey. We don't know yet why she died. We don't have a cause of death. Why would a 28-year-old, young, fit, apparently woman take ill, virtually immediately on arriving in Turkey? Why? What happened to her? Why did she die? Was she not looked after properly by the Turkish health service? And also, we're going to ask the question, why was her husband? Why did he come under suspicion for murdering her? What were the reasons? What was the justification for treating him as a suspect initially? Why? There must have been a reason, surely. Or did they just decide because she was 28 and young and fit, then she must have been murdered? I mean, who knows? So I feel like there's a lot more going to come out about this case. But as I say, the one thing that we do know for certain is this lady is dead. Beth is dead. Her children have lost a mother. Her husband has lost a wife. And there's mystery about how she died. And even worse than that, you'll see that there are worse things even than that, believe it or not. You think that's bad enough. But anyway, we'll talk about that as we get into the video. So first of all, I want to do my usual thanks just quickly. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Don't forget to press notifications for more notifications, updates on this case and the others that we're covering. Thank you. A special thanks to my members as always. Thank you to all of you that have sent me super stickers, bought me Ko-fis, sent PayPals, sent me nice emails. And in fact, this case started off with somebody, started off for me. I mean, obviously the case didn't start off there. One of my members sent me a link to this case, and I've been sort of wanting to talk about it for a while, but I just haven't had a chance yet. And now it is sort of gathering momentum, if you like, even in the mainstream media, etc. So yeah, thank you to there's a lot of you send me information about cases that might be interested. Some of them I've already heard about, but maybe I just haven't had time to talk about. Others, sometimes I haven't heard about at all. They're new to me. So thank you for that. Yeah, thanks for your support. Okay, so hello lurkers, as usual. What I start off with, I say hello to my lurkers, all of you that are either watching at home but don't like to join in the chat. Hello to replay crew who might be watching this later on because they haven't got a chance to watch it as it's live. And now I'm going to say hello to those of you who are here, brave enough to come into the chat and just say hello to you all. Hi, David. Hi, my angel. Hi, Mello. Hi, Heather. Good morning. Are you feeling better now? You seem to be well recuperated now. So I hope you are. So let's get into this. So where do I start? I mean, there's a lot to say about it, of course, and it is in a lot in the news at the moment. But we're going to start with the Sun. I know the Sun is not maybe our favourite paper, but they have reported on this, and so we'll start with them. So their headline: Holiday Hell, Brit Mum, 28. I mean, 28 years old. Oh my God. 28. Not even 30 yet. Mother of 2. Not that long ago been married. Mysteriously dies on a Turkey holiday before horrified family find, and this is the real horrible bit of this, and just be prepared, that her heart had been removed by doctors. So when they got this lady home finally, and they a post-mortem took place in Britain, her heart was not there. Where is it? Where is her heart? I mean, have they kept it because of for reasons of autopsy reasons, is there an investigation? What did she die of? I mean, to me, the crucial question is, why did this young 28-year-old woman die? Just like that, it feels like. So let's watch this video, first of all. Turn the volume down because it's irritating, the music, and there's no speaking on it. Now, this is her with her husband. Now, I'm not happy with the photo there where he looks like he's practically strangling her. I don't think that's a good photo. You know what I think about things like that. But anyway, that's a photo that's out there in the media. Beth Martin, her name is. And this couple are from Portsmouth in the UK. Let's have a look actually where Portsmouth is. For anyone who doesn't know, I know Portsmouth quite well. Well, I know Southsea very well because my ex-partner, that's where he was from. We spent quite a lot of time there. It's a very sort of it's a docks. It was nice. It's not, I don't think I'd like to live there, but it was a nice place to visit as a tourist. But Portsmouth, just like any other place in the UK or anywhere, it's got its nice parts and its not so nice parts. But this, let's have a look. Just let me show you where it is. So people who don't have, any idea like me about geography, if you think this is England, the UK, got London there, Portsmouth is right here on the coast. Now, at the time, I was living in Reading. It wasn't far from Reading. I remember when we went to Portsmouth to visit my ex's family, because his mum lived there in Portsmouth, in Southsea. It didn't take long. I remember that. And it was quite a pleasant drive. I don't know. So anyway, there's Portsmouth. This is where the family come from, near Southampton, right on the coast here. Not that far from sort of Reading. And of course, most people, wherever they are, they will know London. So it's not that far from London, really, when you think about it, is it? Not actually that far even from London, Portsmouth. So that's where this family are from. And they set off on holiday like people do. Lovely holiday, Turkey or I hope if you've got a holiday, I hope you're not on holiday in Spain at the moment because it's not stopped raining all day. Having said that, I think it has just stopped raining. So hopefully that's it now. We won't get any more rain today. But yeah, off they went on holiday to Turkey from Portsmouth, and then this tragedy happened to them. You know, there's so many tragedies can happen on holiday, aren't they? You know, we've seen it with the Jay Slater case, the John George case. You know, you can't think that just because you go on holiday, nothing bad can happen. Unfortunately, bad things do happen. But we do not know what happened to Beth. Not yet, anyway. So this is her husband. This is her with her husband, Luke, and their children aged 8 and 5. Now, this was in April. On April the 27th, they set off on their trip to Turkey. Just 2 days later, this lady, this young girl, 28 years old, was dead. 2 days later, 2 days after arriving in Turkey. So the family then claim they were left completely in the dark by the Turkish authorities. And Luke, her husband, has even said that he was accused of poisoning his wife. I don't know what the reasons were for that. Why the Turkish authorities would say that, I have no idea. Yeah. And then once they finally arrived back in the UK with her body, a UK autopsy revealed her heart had been removed. Where is her heart? Removed for what? You can't just take someone's heart. So this was them obviously on their wedding day. And Beth, she looked just, you know, I'm smiling because it's infectious when you can see that someone is so happy. You know, even though this has ended tragically for Beth, at least she had this happy day. You can see how happy she is on that picture. So Lucas described it the worst and most traumatic week of his life. And he has described the pain of telling their children their mum will never come home. Luke Martin, this is what he has said on his social media. It has been the worst and most traumatic week of my entire life. And to top it off, I had to break the news to my babies that their mum isn't coming home. It broke me. Now, I'm presuming they didn't have travel insurance. I don't know, because we'll see later. Apparently, Luke, not only losing Beth, was presented with a bill for €2,000 because, of course, now, you know, because of Brexit, I suppose, we're not in this reciprocal agreement, are we? I mean, I don't know how it works for people in the UK. Some of you will know there probably that are watching. What happens now if you go abroad to Europe? You have to take out travel insurance, or do you take a chance? Or is there still something you can get that will cover you? I don't know. But apparently he was presented with a bill for €2,000. Now, there is a GoFundMe for this family, and we're going to look at that later, and I think it's problematic. And I'm going to explain to you why I think it's problematic. And I think it's only a matter of time before people start looking at the GoFundMe a little bit. But anyway, so bearing in mind, I don't know, there'll have been expenses to bring Beth home to the UK, repatriation costs, I presume, unless it was covered, unless they had travel insurance, I don't know. And of course, this is a terrible situation for the children, to lose their mother. So, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a GoFundMe, but anyway, we're going to look at that shortly. So, they've not been told a cause of death, apparently, and they claim they were also forced to carry Beth in a body bag through the hospital. I mean, if that's true, and why would they lie about it? That's awful, isn't it? What? Carry her in a body bag through the hospital? So, I don't know. I don't know what the basis of that is. And the family claim, that Beth's death is now being treated as negligence or being investigated as possible negligence by the hospital. And they have said that the family are now a shell of themselves after learning that Beth's heart was removed by the Turkish hospital without explanation or consent. I mean, it's horrible, isn't it? You can just put yourself in this family's position and think, oh my God. So again, as we've said before with these kind of cases, it's hard enough to lose a loved one, isn't it? Especially a young person like Beth, 28 years old, dies mysteriously. And not only you've got to try and get your head around that, you've got to get your head around the language barrier, the culture barrier. He's been treated as an actual suspect, for killing her. Hard to get your head around, isn't it? And this is why we are fighting back. Now, I think this is from the GoFundMe page. This is someone has set up a GoFundMe page. Not Luke, a friend, I think, and some other guys set up a GoFundMe page. And we're going to look at the GoFundMe page and we're going to read what they say on there. But this is a snippet from there. And this is why we are fighting back. Luke has spent thousands. He's self-employed, meaning that if he's not back to work in a matter of days, he won't be able to support his family. So yeah, a GoFundMe has been set up to support the family, which has already seen nearly £140,000 raised. And let me tell you, as it stands today, it's over £200,000 have been raised in this GoFundMe, which I'm sure, I mean, it's a lot of money. Isn't it? It's a lot of money. GoFundMes are always problematic. You know what I think of GoFundMes? Obviously, some money was necessary to bring Beth home, to pay the hospital fees. I don't know what you would need money for, and obviously needs money to support the children. But over £200,000, I'm not sure. And I think what's a little bit problematic about this GoFundMe, let's have a look at it. Now, when I first saw the GoFundMe, after somebody sent me the link to this case, it was the target when I first saw it was 180,000. I don't know where it started off being. I've no idea what this GoFundMe started off being. Let's have a look. Hi, Claire. Let's have a look. Yeah, so when I first went on this GoFundMe, the target was 180,000. You know, we can see this was the other day where I've left it up there in the browser bar. So the target was 180,000 when I first went on it. Then when I went on it the second time, this is when I went on it the second time, and the target had been raised from 180,000 to 200,000, and then 204,000 was raised. And then when I just went on it earlier, let's have a look. The target is now £250,000. Now, I'll let you just say what you think about that. I don't like commenting about this. Is obviously, you know, a terrible tragedy, whatever. And I'm sure this family are going to need all the money they can get. But I don't really understand why they keep raising the target. Well, they don't. This friend who has set it up, Robert Hammond, is a friend of Luke's, apparently. He set up this fundraiser. So every time they get near the target, it keeps getting raised. And this last time it's been raised, the target to 250,000. That's £250,000. So anyway, I just want to say that. But I'm going to read out what they say on the fundraiser and the reasons for it. And that's important. Now, I'm not criticizing anyone who wants to make a donation. There may be some of you watching out there. Make a donation. You know what I think? I'm not in favor of GoFundMes because they always cause problems, don't they? One way or the other. You know, look at the problems that were caused when Emma set up a fundraiser for Nicola Bulley, £100,000 target. Everyone was up in arms. Look at the problems that were caused when Debbie, is her surname Slater? I don't think it is. Is it Debbie Duncan? She didn't have the same surname as Jay, did she? She set up a fundraiser that got up to £70,000 and everybody was going mad about it. Here we've got a fundraiser that now has got a £250,000 target. It just keeps going up every time it gets anywhere near the target. People are going to complain about it 100%. It's just a matter of time, because obviously what this family wants is more attention, social media attention, mainstream media attention, and apparently that's what they're getting at the moment. But that comes with the bad side of things as well, doesn't it? So Debbie Duncan, she found that. So the positive side is your GoFundMe increases and you've got enough money to sort out what you need to do. But the other thing, of course, that happens is you're going to get some negative attention as well. That's just par for the course, isn't it? But yeah, £250,000 target, £250,000. Anyway, so this is what Robert, who's the friend of Luke, who set up. So he's organising the fundraiser. I'm presuming that Luke is the beneficiary. I mean, I don't know where the beneficiary is on this site. Normally it tells you who the beneficiary is. So he says, we want to begin by saying that like many others with a great sense of pride and the classically strong British resolve that asking for money from family, friends and strangers on a public platform is not something that's taken lightly. If anyone reading this is facing financial difficulty, or if this story doesn't connect with you, please, at the very least, share this by any means necessary. Share on social media, talk about it at work, at the pub, anywhere. So they're looking for media attention at the end of the day. Of course they are. So the story is long. The details are horrific beyond belief, but we need people to understand what has happened. Please read and you will understand. On Sunday, the 27th of April, 2025, Luke, his wife Beth, and their 2 young children, 8-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son, flew to Turkey for what should have been a family holiday. Less than a week later, only Luke and the children returned separately. The family saw it as the perfect opportunity to enjoy a proper getaway. But sadly, things took a sad turn. So Sunday the 27th, the family flew out to Turkey, and on arrival, Beth began feeling unwell. On Monday the 28th of April, during the night, once they arrived, Beth managed to get a little sleep, but by Monday morning she became delirious. Luke at this point had tried contacting various doctors and hospitals, but he was told that no one could come out until 10 a.m. when they start. Luke eventually managed, despite the language barriers, to get an ambulance, and Beth was taken to hospital. Now, I don't know how it works in Turkey. All I know is if you're in Spain, it's 24 hours you can go. You just go to the hospital. Just a word of advice to anyone. If you're ever in Spain and someone's feeling ill or whatever and it's too late, like they're saying here, you know, for the doctors, because the doctors don't open till the morning time or whatever. And in Spain, they're normally open a lot earlier than 10 a.m. I'm talking about Spain now. I haven't got a clue about Turkey. I've never been to Turkey. I have absolutely no wish to go to Turkey, to be honest. But there'll be those of you out there maybe know a bit more about Turkey than I do. I have absolutely no clue. But here in Spain, I'm just trying to put people's mind to rest if people come out on holiday to Spain. If you have, when you go to hospital in Spain, you just go to the emergency department or all the Centro de Salud, the health centres, they have a 24-hour doctor on. So you can go any time of night and day. I mean, obviously, you've got to deal with the language barrier. That's your main problem. But, you know, a lot of them do speak English, especially in tourist sort of parts. You know, you could be lucky and get a doctor who spoke English. But at the end of the day, if you go to the emergency department, they're going to check you out, whatever. Doesn't even matter that now, after Brexit, if you've got a British passport, or you know, they are not going to turn you away. What you're not going to get in Spain, if you're not under some sort of coverage by the EU or whatever, you don't get ongoing treatment. So they are duty bound to look, test, find out what's wrong with you. So, for example, if you have a heart attack, they've got to deal with that. They can't turn you away. They would never turn you away. But if you need treatment after that, that's when you might get problems. But they have a duty to save your life, you know, whatever. And then after that, if you need ongoing treatment, that's another matter. But for the initial sort of assessment, you know, never hesitate to go to a Spanish hospital. I mean, obviously, the wise thing is to make sure you've got travel insurance. I don't know if this family had travel insurance or not. Maybe not. A lot of young people don't bother taking out travel insurance, do they? Because they think, oh, nothing will happen. But, you know, whatever, whether you've got travel insurance or not, you know, don't be scared. If you're in Spain, of going to the emergency department, the doctors or whatever, and it is 24-hour. How it is in Turkey, I have absolutely no idea. As I say, I've never been to Turkey. I don't know what the doctors are like there. If any of you out there have been to Turkey, had experience with the hospitals, doctors, please leave a comment. Oh my God, it's raining again, by the way. So it's pouring down here in Spain. Don't come to Spain today. So she'd become delirious. So he finally got an ambulance, and Luke followed behind in a taxi with their 2 young children in tow. Well, of course, he'd have to take the children with him, wouldn't he? Because you can't leave them in the apartment on their own. And they're on holiday, you know, they haven't got any extended family out there with them. So Beth at this point was not herself and scared. Oh, bless. Language barriers again made everything worse. The children were traumatized and they watched helplessly as their mum was pinned down, poked, prodded invasively by strangers. Well, yeah, examined, but anyway, no explanations, no understanding. I don't like that because, how are they supposed to explain it if they don't speak Turkish or whatever language they speak in Turkey? Luke had no choice but to trust the doctors, that they knew what they were doing and that they would take care of her. Little did they know this would be the last time Luke ever saw his wife and the last time the kids would ever see their mummy alive. So Luke was unable to leave the children, so he called both grandmothers to fly out and help. And thanks to a kind stranger Luke had befriended on the plane, this person generously made her way to the hospital and stayed with Beth so that Luke could get his children back to the hotel in an attempt to avoid further trauma. A few hours later, he was called back and he was instructed urgently to return and pay up front for a scan. He returned, paid, and left again with his children. Well, that would have cost quite a lot of money. It's a good job that he had that money to pay, to be honest. That night, Beth was moved into intensive care and her condition by now was critical. Luke was banned from seeing her. From there, no calls, no updates, despite him trying to contact the hospital to see if his wife was okay. Just silence. On Tuesday, the 29th of April, Luke and Beth's mums arrived in Turkey and they immediately went from the airport straight to the hospital, frantically searching for Beth. They battled through a destitute and worn down hospital, desperate for answers, but nothing. Eventually, Luke got a vague message. Beth had been transferred overnight. Both grandparents weren't even at the right hospital anymore, and no one could even be bothered to tell him, or at the very least, contact Luke. So this is an awful situation. Can you imagine it? Just awful. Just awful. Hey, Leanne. I would never go to Turkey, Claire. As a blonde white woman, I wouldn't, because I just wouldn't go. I mean, maybe if you went in a couple, that's a different matter. But it's a very volatile place as well, isn't it? Anyway. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just having a little look through the chat, just make sure I haven't missed anyone. Hi, Joanne. Did I say hello to Joanne? So, straight away now we've got this awful situation because now I have known that happen here in Spain. Sometimes people can't find their loved ones. The language barrier is a big problem at the end of the day. Whenever you go abroad, the first thing you need to do is get an interpreter. In a situation like this, I'm just trying to give you general advice, what I would advise to anyone who's in a foreign country. Well, you can contact the consulate, and not that they're about as much use as a chocolate teapot normally, or the British Embassy, but at least they will put you in touch with people who can help you. They don't do anything, they're just there to give advice, but they might be able to also get on the Facebook groups. There'll be expats wherever you go, Turkey, Spain, France, anywhere. These Facebook groups, there'll be expat Facebook groups. They're the best places to go on. And can anyone recommend an interpreter? A quick explanation of the circumstances, and somebody will come up with an interpreter for you. And there are places that you can contact if you get into trouble abroad, of course, wherever it is. So, where are we? When Beth was transferred back, Luke was told that Beth was moved during the night due to concerns with her heart. Now, where is her heart? I mean, this is the other thing. Where is this poor girl's heart? If they've kept it there in Turkey, is it to do more tests on it? But why haven't they said anything? Now, we have to hope that there's some sort of, a dialogue back and forth with the British authorities and the Turkish authorities, but we don't know. So that was all we knew at the time. However, later in the story, it will make sense as to why this detail is so critical. Finally, they found Beth's room but were restricted access. This is now a mother wanting to see her very sick daughter. You can see her in 10 minutes. 5 more minutes. For hours this continued, hours. Meanwhile, at the hotel, chaos had begun. Turkish police arrived at the hotel to interrogate Luke. No translator. Hotel staff acted as intermediaries. Through broken communication, Luke was made to sign a document. Without knowing, he later translated the statement, which had read that Beth had died at around 9 a.m. Again, he needed a translator there. They won't provide a translator. That's the same in Spain. It's up to you to find a translator and an interpreter. I don't know. As I say, I have no clue about Turkey because I've never been. He had heard nothing from the hospital regarding this, and he was constantly texting and calling his mum, asking if they had been allowed to see her yet. Now, just a word about intensive care here in Spain. If your loved one is in intensive care, you can only visit twice a day for half an hour, 2 people maximum. That's the rules in Spain. And if they ever break those rules, like if they ever phone the family and say, yeah, you can all come in, and then your loved one is on the way out, if they do that. As long as there's any chance that your loved one is going to survive, whatever it is that's happening to them, you are only allowed to visit twice a day for 30 minutes, 2 people maximum. And I know that for a fact because I've been in intensive care. I haven't been in intensive care, but I've interpreted. I've gone in with family members many, many times over the years. And I've always been quite impressed with it, really, because you have to boot up fully. You've got your boots on, you've got your or PPE. You have to put PPE on. And all that PPE is disposable. So when you come out after 30 minutes in there, all goes in the bin. None of it is reused. So they are the intensive care units in Spain are so high tech, spotlessly clean. You definitely get good treatment in there, or good, they monitor people. But yeah, as I say, if you ever get the call asking all your family to go in, that's because there's not long left for your loved one. So that may have been, I don't know, but that may have been why Beth's mum and Luke's mum weren't allowed in to see her if she was in intensive care. But I don't know. So Luke is being interrogated, and he's considered by the Turkish authorities a suspect in her death, and specifically that he had poisoned her. Now, we don't know why they would say that. Did something come up in her toxicology results, or was it just, I don't know. Why was that? We don't know. Back at the hospital, the grandparents were given Beth's belongings, including her wedding ring, but still weren't allowed to see her. And this was before they were even aware she may have passed away. Still, they were being constantly told they could see her in 5 more minutes. Finally, Beth's mum was let in, but only given a few moments before being removed. Beth's mum, broken-hearted, spoke of how cold she felt and on life support, but barely alive. The grandparents had no choice but to go back to the hotel and do their best to comfort Luke. The doctor asked if Beth had allergies. Luke had already told the paramedics when Beth got in the ambulance that she was allergic to penicillin. And yet, when told again, they were shocked to hear this information. They had no idea and had been treating her for hours at this point. So are they going to say that they've been giving her penicillin? That evening, the hospital called Luke. Beth had passed away. This time it really was true. Beth was gone. Very sadly, only a very short time prior to this call, the insurance company had contacted Luke and the hospital stating, so they were insured, stating that they have now found a private hospital to transfer Beth to within the next few hours, that Luke had been fighting since her original admission to get her into a private hospital. Before Luke and Beth's mum could even begin the process of mourning, after being told in a corridor that his wife and their daughter had died, were told to pay £2,000, but still not allowed to see her. They returned back to the hospital, and within an hour, the police returned, telling him they will be burying her the following morning. Burying her the following morning? What, the police? The police wouldn't bury her. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Spain. I don't know how it works in Turkey. Luke strongly refused this and told him he is taking her home. They told him to return to the hospital at 8 a.m. to be interviewed by a prosecutor. So the children still didn't know. Luke was reeling, accused, alone. On Wednesday, the 30th of April, Luke had no time to grieve. Police had the second interview at 2 p.m. after waiting hours for them, this time in the back of a van in a hospital car park. The chief investigator sat at a desk, bolted into the vehicle. Surrounding them, police officers armed with guns. Luke was grilled, accused, and broken beyond repair. It seemed that the police could now see at least that Luke was just a grieving husband. They finally cleared him. No further action. After cooperating fully, he begged, sobbing, to see his wife. He was allowed into the morgue to see her for 1 minute, no more. The staff over his shoulder made sure of that. Being wrongfully accused in a foreign country of murdering someone you love so dearly is life-altering. Beth's mum was allowed to see her, but were under strict instructions to wash her hands, not touch her, not even kiss her. Yet again, staff were over her shoulder. She couldn't even embrace her dead daughter's body. And what followed next was even more horrifying. They were then instructed to carry Beth's body in a zipped body bag. Oh my God, if I never wanted to go to Turkey before, I definitely don't want to go now. You could not pay me enough money to go to Turkey. They had to take a corner, apparently, allegedly, of the bag each and shift her corpse. It is incomprehensible to believe that the mother, husband, and best friend of this 28-year-old woman were told to take her body bag through a hospital. The fourth corner of the bag was carried by the translator. They approached an elevator with her body. As they waited, the translator had the audacity to tap away at her body bag like it was luggage, like it was the briefcase of a businessman who's late for a meeting. no compassion, no humanity. But this was not the end of the trauma and heartache, far from it. On Friday, the 2nd of May, after the battling and support of other family members back home, they managed to arrange for the travel insurance. Oh, so the insurance brought the body home. The travel insurance to bring Beth home. However, they were informed that this could take, oh no, Luke paid for it. However, they're informed that this could take up to 2 weeks or longer. Luke refused. He paid thousands on top of what he had already paid for scans, taxis, hospital fees, translators, hotels, repatriation arrangements, transcribing documents, notaries, the list goes on, and arranged for her body to fly home himself. On Saturday, the 3rd of May, Luke finally had to do what no parent should ever do. He told the children, Mummy was gone, dead, surrounded by grief. He watched the light drain from their eyes. That pain is permanent. He held them and they cried together, but not as a family because a crucial member of that family was gone. Sunday the 4th and Tuesday the 6th of May, the children and family flew home on the Sunday. Luke stayed a few more days to fly home beside his wife. On Tuesday, they landed together back home. And in the week since, this is what, the 6th of May. We're only on the 23rd of May now, so it's only a couple of weeks ago. Everyone is a shell of themselves and no one knows how to even begin to recover from something so horrific. But still, it gets worse. The UK autopsy began, and then the final blow, Beth's heart was missing. Now, where is the heart? Where is the heart? Hi, Maria. This is just unbelievable that her heart's, where is her heart? Now, I don't know if the British authorities have come out and spoken about this. Are they in are the police involved in this? Are they in communication with the authorities in Turkey? I don't know. So the Turkish hospital removed it. No explanation, no consent. They invaded her body and took her heart. Her heart. The piece of Beth that was more treasured more than any other. The piece of her that stopped for a moment when she heard her children's first words. The piece of her that skipped a beat when she said, I do at her wedding. The piece of her that pumped viscously with pride whenever she was with her family. Let's just have a look at a couple of pictures of Beth, because we need to see her as a person, don't we? So yeah, this is Beth, 28 years old, and not only died mysteriously, we still don't know why she died. Why did she die? Died on holiday in Turkey, 28 years old, within 2 days of arriving there. This is her with her husband Luke. And this is her on her wedding day, when I think she really does look just so happy there, doesn't she? So I'm glad she had happy times. But 28, for God's sake. What, that's no age, is it? What happened to her? So this is why we are fighting back. This is the GoFundMe I'm reading out to you. The whole story is here on the GoFundMe. Luke has spent thousands. He's self-employed. meaning that if he's not back to work in a matter of days, he won't be able to support his family. They are grieving, traumatised, and now trying to put the pieces of their family back together. After everything the family have been through, Luke believes passionately that this is something that cannot be taken lying down. That is why we write this story. This is why we expose the deepest level of trauma we have ever experienced as a family. With excruciating detail, we are exposing our pain in sharing this and asking for help and hopefully bring all of her home. Please donate or share or both. Anything to help them rebuild towards the extortionate medical bills that were not covered by insurance and the living costs that Luke and the children now face. Beth's death is now being investigated as a potential negligence by the hospital. Please, can we just thank everyone for taking the time to read this, and any help you can offer is not too little. Then since then, he has updated Robert Hammond, the organiser. I can't believe the generosities we've seen from all the posting, sharing and donating to this amazing family so far. We have seen this go to media outlets all over the world. It's been in most of the major tabloids and on every social media platform across the globe. We've had TV channels wanting to help, people from all 5 continents messaging words of support and love to Luke and the children. I am absolutely gobsmacked at the amount of help and support you guys as a community have poured into this, and still I ask you for more. Please, please, please keep sharing, posting, and if possible, donating. I thank you. I cannot thank you enough, all enough, for your help with this. Thanks so much. Let's keep sharing the love. And as I say, so far, £208,000 has been raised. £208,947 has been raised, and the target has been upped again to 250,000. Let's just have, if I refresh the page. So it's grown since then. It's £215,826 raised. Now, as I say, as far as even just the few days I've been looking at it, the target has gone from 180,000, now it's 250,000. I'm just wondering how far they're going to go with the target. I think they've got to be careful with that, because people are going to say things. They're on 86% of £250,000 target. So if you feel like it and you feel, that it's important, donate or share. It's at the end of the day, the children have got a lifetime without their mother to face. Of course, Luke, maybe he works, he's self-employed, they said, and, he's not going to be able to work, so he'll be looking after the children, I suppose. So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's up to people what they want to do. But that's quite a lot of money. They have to put a lid on it somewhere. They can't just keep raising money. What they're going to do, just keep raising money till they get to £1 million. I don't know, but anyway, let me know what you think. Maybe you disagree with me, maybe it's fine. But I just feel that's going to cut. I'm thinking about all the problems that were caused when Emma White set up a fundraiser for Nicola Bulley that was 100,000, and she had to take that down pretty quick, didn't she, and go to 30,000. And then all the problems that were caused for Debbie Duncan, Jay Slater's mum, because her target was 70,000. Or I don't think she ever increased her target. I think the original target was 30,000, I think, and then I think she raised about 70,000 in the end. But everyone has their thoughts on GoFundMe's. To me, they just cause trouble. But having said that, this family, these children will need money. So let me know what you think, as always. Or as always, just let me know what you think. Hi, Bertan. Hi, Daniel. Well, Bertam, you tell me then about Turkey. What is it like? The hospitals, etc. I mean, they're getting a real sort of slagging off from the family anyway. So, you tell me, what do you think? If I've never been to Turkey, so I have no clue what the healthcare would be like there. But they're getting, they're getting slated by this family. Anyway, you'll see if you go on replay on recap. Family went on holiday, a husband, a wife, 28 years old. She fell ill within a day, really, of getting there. Was admitted finally to hospital. And, the husband is complaining that they were treated terribly. Anyway, she died. They're saying that they had to carry her body bag from one end of the hospital to another themselves. The thing is, we don't know, of course. We only know, I've just read out what it says on the GoFundMe. And, with the language problems and that, there'll be a lot on the other side. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't know the situation from the Turkish hospital side. And it's always important to hear both sides of things. So I'm going to try and investigate that if I can. I mean, I don't. What do they speak in Turkey? Is it Arabic, I presume? I'm going to try my best to find out what the actual Turkish news is saying about it, if they're saying anything, what the hospitals say about it. Luke, the husband, is planting the blame firmly on them, really. But then he also was accused of murdering her, poisoning her. Actually, specifically poisoning her. And I don't know why that was, but in the end, he says he was cleared and allowed to leave. So, and now her body is in the UK now. And then when they did the British autopsy, her heart was missing. I mean, that's you just imagining how that would feel about your loved one. I mean, I know the thing is, they're gone, aren't they? By the time something like that happens, you've got to presume they're not on this plane anymore. They're on a different level, but still the heart of all things, it's like so emotive, that, isn't it? That her heart was missing. But is there a reason for that? Are they continuing with tests, or I don't know, or is there an ongoing police investigation? We just don't know the circumstances. Hi, Deb. They speak Turkish. Right. Okay. So they speak that way. Just showing my complete ignorance. I just have no idea. I don't know about Turkish. Is it a language? What kind of language? What would you say it was similar to? Is it similar to Arabic, or is it completely different language? Or is it like sort of Spanish and Portuguese? So like Portuguese is a completely different language from Spanish, but it's very similar. So yeah, the thing is, whenever you go abroad, I mean, they were leading a risky lifestyle, as far as I know. They just went to Turkey on a family holiday, not as if they were going there on a rave or, that kind of thing. But whenever you go abroad, you take a chance. That's the whole purpose of travel insurance, isn't it? make sure, says she, I'm terrible for travel insurance. I rarely take it out, and I should do it. But yeah, you do, even when you're young. I mean, the thing is, when someone's younger, Beth is only 28 years old. You don't think anything's going to happen to a 28-year-old on a family holiday, do you, with her kids and her husband? So sometimes people do take a chance and not take out holiday insurance. But it seems they did have holiday insurance. So why? Why did they have to pay £2,000? Why was it? 'Cause, don't go alone. Yeah. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. I don't want to go. Absolutely. I know it sounds awful, but it's also quite a volatile country, isn't it? So, I mean, things can happen wherever you go. Of course, you don't know. You could go to the safest country in the world and war might break out, for all you know, because things can happen just like that in this mad world, can't they? But yeah, it's quite volatile, isn't it, Turkey, in many ways? So, oh, that's the way I think of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but no, it's not a country I'd want to go to on holiday. Also, the language barrier. I speak Spanish and I speak English. I could go most places in the world and get understood, but maybe not Turkey. So, hi, Maria. I don't know who the airline was. Don't know. Probably Ryanair, do you think? Well, they were going for, if it Portsmouth, where would they fly from Portsmouth? Hey, Daniel. So, I mean, nothing is going to bring this girl back. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they do, whether they get her, I suppose their concentration is on getting her heart back so that they can, put her body back together again. That's a very emotional part of the body to be missing, isn't it? The heart. It's like there's other organs that maybe wouldn't be quite so emotional as that. But I mean, personally, just thinking about it, you think, well, did they keep the heart because they wanted to do more tests on it? But anyway, there's no excuse for not telling the family, not asking permission. Unless, it's possible that Luke might have signed something giving permission. He didn't even realise that he had. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Yeah, well, mate, listen, if the heart's been transplanted into somebody else, at least it's, that's a positive thing in a way, isn't it? I know it's not with permission, it's not bad, but it's not a good thing. But again, I don't know what the laws are there. But I'll tell you something, in Spain, organ donation, the family have to give permission. Having said that, they can't just take people's organs without the family's permission, but they don't need an organ donor card. In Spain, you are, if you don't take out a card that says, no, I don't want my organs to be donated, your organs can get donated, but your family has to give permission. You can't just take them for nothing. They have to have the family's permission to take them, but they don't need the actual deceased person's permission, in the sense of they don't need to carry a donor card. What they have to do is carry a card that says, no, do not take my organs. That's how it works in Spain. Organ donation is, Spain's really high on the list for organ donation. It's one of the best in the world for transplants and things like that. So that's a good thing about that. But obviously they can't take her heart without permission. I mean, that's ridiculous. But it makes you wonder, did Luke sign something without realising? There's a possibility. That's again comes down to the language barrier. Maybe his translator wasn't very good. That's a possibility, isn't it? Did he have a good translator? We've talked about this on this channel. I've interpreted for people in Spain for 20 odd years, and I've seen some terrible interpreters who could hardly even speak Spanish. But the trouble is, when you don't speak any of the language, they've only got to know 3 words and you think, oh, they're fluent. I've heard some terrible interpreters, and I've been told about them as well from the Guardia Civil and from doctors. How they've seen people pretending to be able to speak Spanish when really they can hardly put 3 words together. I expect it's exactly the same in Turkey. Expats may be pretending they're interpreters, but really they're not that good. So it makes you wonder if Luke did sign something without even realising that he was signing something because he was badly advised by his interpreter. So, all right. I'm doing look, Bertan, you're saying, oh, you're going to do a YouTube video on this. I'm doing a YouTube video on it. This is a YouTube video about it. This is a YouTube video. I will be doing more on it if more information comes out. I mean, I think this is going to be a difficult one because, like when it's been like with Jay Slater or other cases, John George in Spain, that's different because I can follow Spanish news and things like that. I wouldn't, Turkish. How am I going to find out about what I want to find out now is the Turkish side of it, because it's important. You've got to hear what they're saying, and because sometimes things do get lost in translation, and it may be that Luke signed something that he didn't even realise that he'd signed because he was badly advised by his interpreter. I don't know what the Turkish police are like. If they're anything like the Guardia, you won't get anything out of them, whatever. But they may be a bit more transparent. I don't know. Yeah, well, you can watch it from the beginning, Burton. You can, but I will be doing more on it. I just wanted to tell you about it. Are the family going to be able to get to the bottom of what's happened? Let me while we're just on, I'll just have a little look. Sometimes you get Turkish news in English, or they do that in Spain. Let's see. What's his surname? Martin. Beth Martin, bless her. I mean, at the end of the day, this young woman, her life's ended. You've got 2 young children without a mum. So let's see. Well, there's some news. Let's see. The Turkish hospital. Oh, see, Istanbul is the hospital. Let's have a look at what the Daily Mail say. I know we're not lovers of the Daily Mail, but they do get to the heart of stories, if you pardon the pun. Right, let's have a look at this video. Oh, always jumps around this.
Do you crave more excitement from the best of German football?
Oh, can you believe it?
Free and available anytime, anywhere? Join now and never miss a moment. Whether it's live matches, exclusive highlights, or relive action, DFB Play has it all, ready for you.
Even after I gave explicit consent, as did Luke.
Ah, this is not, that was supposed to be a video about the Turkish hospital. Let's see. I'll read it because the video didn't come on properly. Okay, so this is the Istanbul hospital where Portsmouth, oh no, it's going to flick up and down too much. So apparently doctors told her husband they were concerned about her heart and sent her for an angiogram, a type of x-ray that shows blood vessels, that turned up nothing untoward, but by Tuesday night she was dead. Now, this is going to get on my nerves because it keeps flickering, but so apparently the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office is making its own inquiries with local authorities. Well, this is really the only thing they can hope for, is that the British authorities, start to ask questions and try and find out what actually happened. So here's the hospital. And it looks, quite reasonably modern, though they said it wasn't. Oh, and there she is with the kids and her husband a couple of years ago, I suppose. Yeah, poor woman, and those poor kids. Let's have a look at the gallery. This is going to be a lot on the news, I think. There they were on the wedding day. She just looks so happy there. So this is the entrance to the hospital. So it was opened in 2010. So it's not been there that long. It's only 15 years old. That's not very old for a hospital, to be fair. The hospital includes an international patient service. And it's not known if Miss Martin was treated here as a British person. Well, it looks very modern, doesn't it, really? The modern hospital was opened in 2010 and was expanded in 2020. That's massive. Oh. Ah. Sad. What a beautiful girl. Aye. This is family friend Ellie Gray. She's probably been on social media or something. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there because I think there's a lot more to come out in this case. I will follow it. Yeah, very beautiful. I will follow it as long as there's any news to report. And we'll see. We'll see what happens, if anything comes of it, if anyone's ever held responsible. But the important thing is, what did she die of? To me, the crux here, besides it, of course, all those other things are important. I'm not saying they're not. But what did kill this woman? 28-year-old woman, healthy. What happened to her? How did she become so ill so suddenly, just after landing in Turkey? Did she eat of course, we've been covering the mushroom trial. Did she eat something poisonous? I mean, they were accusing him. I'm not saying he poisoned her. I'm saying, did she eat something that while she was out and about that was like food poisoning? There are lots of things. aren't they? Hi, Julie. Yeah. Well, hi, Excel. Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? Makes you wonder. You know, hi, Justice Jane. She's died of something. You know, she hasn't died of nothing. So, you know, what did she die of? What came up in the toxicology reports? Thing is, if she had been you know, let's just for the sake of being devil's advocates, let's suppose her husband had killed her. Wouldn't something come up in the toxicology reports? You know, now we've had an autopsy in the UK now, so surely, I mean, it was, you know, it's only been a couple of weeks. It's not as if it would have all gone out of her system by now. Yeah, there's a lot to find out. A lot to find out yet. Okay, well, so it was. And I light a candle for poor Beth. And her poor children, you know. Oh God, this candle's gone. I think that one's had it. I need more candles. Need more candles. I've not been lighting them actually much recently, only because they're perfume, so they affect my, you know, while I've had sinus problems. Anyway, but I definitely need some more. So rest in peace, Beth. I mean, Beth, we need to, you know, I don't think she's resting in peace. I've just got this feeling because we need to know what happened to Beth. What happened to this woman? You know? She's died of something. You know, don't just die for nothing. You know, like Maria said, maybe she did have a deep vein thrombosis or something like that. There's quite a short flight to Turkey, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I think you can get them. You can get one just sitting in your computer chair, never mind on a flight. What happened to this woman? Yeah. And where is her heart? And when is it coming back to be reunited with the rest of her body so they can put her to rest properly? Yeah, lot to come out in this case, I feel. But also, you know, leave me comments about the GoFundMe. It's a big amount, isn't it? £250,000 target. And then now every time it gets near the target, they keep making it bigger. Or are they thinking of like a lifetime? I mean, £250,000 is a massive amount of money. You know, people don't earn that in 5 years. You know, well, if they 50,000 a year is a good wage, isn't it? So it's a massive amount of money, but so I'm not really sure about that, to be honest. But anyway, I suppose, you know, they're going to need that money for those children, and it's people's own choice what they put money towards or what they don't put money towards. So thank you for watching. Put my banner up. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, being members, all the things that you do to support my channel. Thank you so much. But the most important thing you can do is stay well, look after yourselves, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. Please don't book a holiday to Turkey. I honestly, I feel like I'm doing a downer on the Turkish sort of tourist industry, but wouldn't be my recommendation. If you go, and also wherever you go on holiday, whether it be to, I mean, nowhere's 100% safe. You never know what's going to happen as soon as you go abroad. You never know what's going to happen in your own country, really, do you? But just make sure you do your homework, you work out about the hospitals, insurances, what you have to pay, because you can never assume, no matter how young you are, no matter how healthy you are, you can never assume that it won't all go wrong, because you just don't know. So, yeah, just be careful. Take care of yourselves. Have a great morning or a great afternoon or a great evening, or sleep well, depending on where you are. I will be back later. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.